Hey guys, it's me, Nithin Business, here again with another financial video. Now recently the stock market has been in the news and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why. What's going on? Why is everyone talking about this? What does Gamestop have to do with this? What's a hedge fund? What is Robinhood? What is Reddit? Well, wonder no longer, because today I'm going to answer all of these questions and explain the entire situation in a succinct and comprehensive way. Now this whole thing starts with Wall Street. Now Wall Street is a street in New York where a lot of business goes down. It's basically the business capital of the world. It's also the source of what's commonly known as stocks. Now stock is actually an anagram. It stands for single transaction of cash unit. Each one represents a teeny tiny portion of a company that you can buy or sell. Now the thing about stocks is their value fluctuates a lot. It goes up and down all the time. And people want to sell their stock when its value is high so they can make big money. Now big money is like regular money, but it's bigger. It can range anywhere from twice the size of a regular bill to like 200 times the size. It's a big range. But the way it works is the bigger the stock is when you sell it, the bigger the money you get. Ideally you want to have the biggest possible money so you can buy really big things like a house or an elephant. Now this is where hedge funds come into play. Now hedge funds are companies that take money and store them offshore in hedges. You've seen these before. They're these little bushes that they hide the money in, and since it's already green, the money just blends right in so nobody even knows it's there. Now the thing about hedge funds is they can only have money that can fit into a hedge. And there's only one type of money that can do that. Small money. Now remember what I said earlier, everyone wants big money so they can buy really big things like a house or a sperm whale. So these hedge funds got pissed. They said, look, we either gotta get some bigger hedges in here or we gotta buy some stocks. But what stock could they possibly buy with their tiny monies? Simple. They just gotta buy a tiny stock. And the one they went after was Gamestop. Now while Gamestop is one of the most successful companies of our time, they unfortunately have very small stocks. This is due to the fact that gamers no longer need to go to stores anymore due to virtual reality. The average gamer stays in the virtual world for about 80% of their adult life, so actually going somewhere is pretty unrealistic for them. The hedge fund boys saw this as a great opportunity. The plan was simple. They would sign a contract that states that in the future, they would be obligated to buy a bunch of GameStop stocks with their tiny money, and later, once GameStop inevitably returns to being the most successful business in America, they would just sell it all for big money so they can buy really big things like a house or a roller coaster. But what they weren't expecting was the intervention of Reddit.com, the most epic website on the internet. Now as we all know, Reddit.com is home to many gamers, so naturally GameStop means a lot to these freaks. It's a very special place to them. So when they heard about this hedge fund trying to make a quick buck off of them, they got pissed. They took off their VR headsets, they got on Reddit, they organized and they got to work. They went to GameStop, and they started buying games, bitch. Every game in the world, they bought it from GameStop. Pokemon Ruby, Mario, Crash Bandicoot 3, Spyro 6, Call of Duty 12, World of Warcraft, Halo, Xbox, Nintendo DS, League of Legends. Now while the gamers were doing that, they also bought all the existing GameStop stock, which thanks to all the new business was now very big stocks, and can now be exchanged for very big money, which people want so they can buy really big things like a house or a statue of Jesus. But remember, the hedge fund signed a contract. They're still obligated to buy all that GameStop stock, or as the financial experts call it, GameStop. But now that the game stock is big and not small, they need really big money to pay for it, which they don't have because big money doesn't fit in hedges. So now the hedge fund boys legally owe the gamers a bunch of big money in exchange for their game stock, and if they don't pay up, they'll go to jail and then hell. It's pretty hilarious. But that's when the CEO of Wall Street stepped in, King Money. He said, hey, this is bullshit. The gamers are making the stocks too big. You see, guys, stocks aren't a physical thing that you can just have in your house. No, they're a physical thing that's stored at Wall Street in a big vault underneath the city of New York. Each stock looks like a solid white cube, and they grow and shrink depending on how big the stock is. And remember, you want to sell the stock while it's big so you can make big money and buy really big things like a house or Australia. But the gamers weren't selling the stock, they were just holding on to it, so in the big vault underneath the city of New York, the stocks were getting way too big. If they were to keep growing, they would get too big for the stock vault, which would eventually explode from the increased pressure and thus create a giant crater where Wall Street used to be. Now to the average New Yorker, this is actually really not a big deal. A different part of New York gets destroyed like once a week, so really it's fine, honestly. But the people at Wall Street got cocky. They thought they could have their cake and eat it too. So in a desperate attempt to save himself, King Money called on his son, Robinhood. Now, Robinhood is a man who, as we all know, was famous for being the first man to turn himself into a fox person. Later, he would go on to create an app that he named after himself where you could buy and sell stocks. Now, Robinhood realized that there was an easy way to stop the Redditors from buying GameStop stocks. Killing them. So he went out with a baseball bat and tried to kill some gamers. But what he didn't realize was that gamers are the most powerful force in the universe. The first gamer he attacked simply teleported behind him and chopped his head off with a samurai sword. And guess what, Robinhood? Attempted murder is illegal. You're getting sued, buddy, for $1 billion big dollars, and you're going to jail, and then hell. That's the whole story. What an adventure. Now, some of you might feel a little bad for the people in this story who lost their money. Well, to them I say, hey, that's business. Now let's talk about the bull real quick. Now I'm pretty sure this thing used to be alive and was turned to bronze via some sort of spell. Really, I'm like 90% sure he's still alive in there.